Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and I wanted to show you some more of the Scorching Ray cast-while channeling Firestorm character in its various endgame situations. And at this stage of the videos, it will be purely fire-based. So originally I showed you I was trying out Chaos based with 2 Consuming Darks for 60% Chaos conversion. I've kind of scrapped that and just gone to 2 Doriani Catalysts, and now I'm 100% fire-based, running Flammability as well, and just trying to make the most of all of my fire damage with Scorching Ray and with Firestorm. And as you can see, it does work to a certain extent, and it probably is just a slightly worse Scorching Ray damage potential, but it's much safer with the Firestorm combination, giving you a lot of extra leech and also some mana leech, because as you can see, it does end up saving your life quite a lot when you take damage when you're not supposed to, and then leech straight back up to full instantly. And you'll see that throughout the video several times, throughout several fights like Atsiri, Trio, pretty much everything actually. The leech just straight up saves your life. When you take a savage hit, you'll leech for 100% of your damage, and the Firestorm then just carries you to victory. But for something like this, the damage is still okay on the Hydra, and this is exactly why we're going Scorching Ray as opposed to, say, Wither cast while channeling Firestorm, because you can still do all the content in the game and you're not really hampered by poison immune things. Plus, I really personally enjoy Scorching Ray myself, so this is kind of just a twist on a Scorching Ray build with slightly better survivability via the leech mechanics. Though I'm not the most tanky or defensive character in the world right now, as you can see, with about 5,700 life and no other real defense, since I'm very budget at the moment, and I'll go over my gear by the end of it for you. My point is, however, though, if you choose to, you can build this character rather tanky, rather defensive, and then the leech mechanics with your Firestorm and your Scorching Ray combo should keep you alive very damn well indeed. This is the Uber Atsiri fight for the most part. It's all pretty smooth. You can't really die to the Vials almost at all. It's not the fastest kill in the world, but you pretty much can't die to them as long as you're Scorching Raying and Firestorming all the time. It's pretty damn hard to die to the trio as well. Just keep throwing Firestorms down with your Scorching Ray. It should only take, like 10-15 seconds to kill the first one, but every time you get rained on, you'll just shoot straight back up to 100% life and just move out of it. So yeah, unless it one-shots you, you're probably never going to die. The Dual Striker, you can die to him, I suppose, if he one-shots you, but that's pretty hard to do. And the last one alive, the Cycloner here, I can die to him if my Bleed Flask runs out, like it has right here, so I have to just run around a bit and do some kiting instead. Because there are 2 different playstyles for this character. You can rely mostly on Scorching Ray, do some kiting, and just keep your Scorching Ray stacks up, and it's a safe playstyle, but a little bit slower. You can go to full face tank mode by just stacking your Scorching Ray as well as your Firestorm and just tanking everything, and for the most part nothing will be able to kill you unless it one-shots you, and there are a few things that are capable of doing that. So Uber Atsiri here, once again, I have to do a bit of kiting sometimes if I don't get some good stacking up at a certain point, and the split phase is actually pretty damn easy. It's almost impossible to die to, unless you get hit by a Flame Blast or a Storm Call, but the spears pretty much can't kill you, they can't one-shot you, so you just rubber band or ping pong straight back up to 100% life every time you get hit by one, thanks to the Firestorms. And you'll see that in this little clip right here, where I just eat so many damn spears, and they're not going to one-shot me, but straight back up to full life, no worries. The only real problem is I don't have stun immunity, and that can get a little annoying sometimes, so if you want full safety, stun immunity is definitely the way to go in this build. Shaper himself is kind of a challenge. I have now done 3 Shaper runs, all clear or finished them all, and about 7 or 8 Uber Atsiri runs, finished all of those too. But Shaper is a bit more of a DPS test, and it's not the greatest DPS because it is somewhat budget of a Scorching Ray build, and it's just, not a full Scorching Ray build, not a full Firestorm build, not a full poison abusing build. In the end, the DPS isn't amazing, but it takes us a few minutes to get him down, and it is somewhat reliable. I've done 3 runs. There's probably been 3 or 4 deaths per run, and some of them have been just to me fucking up. Some have been to a few tricky situations I couldn't get out of. If you're looking for a pure Shaper build to kill Shaper, this probably is not the one. You'd rather go some sort of chaos stacking poison build. This one's just more of an all-rounder, as I have taken down everything in the game thus far. Haven't tried Sheila Breach, didn't have the splinters. It might be doable, but you might not have the DPS to get through the phases. I'm not quite sure. In any case, that's more or less all the fights I'm going to show you. So go over my current gear setup, what I've changed, and my thoughts on the build. So before I go over it, I will mention I didn't include a Phoenix or a Minotaur in that video. The Phoenix is pretty straightforward, you just run around and keep your burning or your Scorching Ray stacks on him at all times, more or less, and then he'll die in a couple of minutes, and it's not too hard. The Phoenixes die pretty comfortably. Minotaur is very similar. You can do some face tanking, but ultimately he'll probably one-shot you, so you're better off doing a bit of face tanking and then a bit of running around, and it takes a couple of minutes as well. Didn't include them, but they are, you can find them on the VODs of the streams themselves. They were just a bit too long to squeeze into this one as well, since my editing is being corrupted or some shit. Anyway, level 90 at the moment. It's a Marauder Berserker, of course. As I have mentioned, we get 40% more damage. You get 1% leech here for both life and mana, and then 100% leech when you take a savage hit, which is 15% of your life. So it happens almost all of the time whenever you're taking any real substantial damage. Now the tree is going all over the place to get Elemental Overload, a second curse, some fire damage, life, and a bit of duration over here. Valpact, very important for the leech, and then a bit of the shadow stuff too. So there is a bit of traveling, but most of it is worth it. And finally, I do have increased curse effect, which is something I didn't have in the last video. So these days I am now using 2 Doriani catalysts, and that is because they give something like 130% elemental damage each, a little less, maybe 120, and so stacked together that is quite a lot of damage, and I'm currently using a +1 level of socketed gems, Tabula. So that gives us a level 4 in power, which is otherwise level 3, and extra 4 levels in total to Scorching Ray and Firestorm. Now, you can definitely use like a Comb's Heart and a staff, a +3 staff, or a Searing Touch, but I've tried them both out, and they do put out less DPS than the alternative of wearing a Tabula and 2 Catalysts. However, that does of course free up your chest slot for something better, like a Comb's Heart. What we're talking about here is I have 21,000 Scorching Ray damage. With the Searing Touch or a +3 staff, I think I'm at maybe about 18,000. The difference is about 10 to 15% damage, but it does free up your chest slot. If you're going to go with the Comb's Heart, you obviously will have to lose some other gem sockets, and that's up to you to decide what other things you can fit in and what you can't. Besides that, the gear is all pretty damn basic. I'll go over it again real quick. Life, pretty much nothing. Life, few resists, life, couple of resists, well, not even life, but just a couple of resists, crafted life. A helm I ended up getting with 30% increased flammability curse effect. I think that's the biggest damage gain I can get for my character, so I went with that. Yeah, amulet with a bit of cast speed damage, an opal ring, whatever the fuck you can do there, and a Dodri's Damning, because we are now tri-cursing. So in this current setup, we're going flammability, temp chains, both of those are up permanently, and then Witchfire Brew gives us vulnerability on demand for the entire radius. But on top of that, I have now an Orb of Storms, curse on hit, vulnerability, and crit strike setup. So you put on your Orb of Storms, and that'll curse everything in the radius all the time, so it's good for boss fights. And on top of that, it'll also help trigger your Elemental Overload, which is a pretty big deal for your damage, because our Scorching Ray is 21,000 right now, damage over per second. When you proc Elemental Overload, it's something like 31,000 or 30,000, I think. So it's a pretty big deal to always have Elemental Overload up. So essentially, we are now fully fire, making full use of Firestorm and Scorching Ray. But I was Chaos and Poison, like I mentioned in the last video, and the reason I went away from that is because this gives a much faster clear speed towards trash and general mapping, because Scorching Ray does a lot more damage in this setup, especially with flammability. but it wasn't that much better single target damage with the 2 consumings. It was better, by all means, I could tell a difference, but that was largely because of the Wither Totem scaling. So anything you could stack a lot of Wither Totem onto with Wither Spell Totem, anything you could stack a lot of that onto, you would see a pretty substantial increase in your single target DPS. Anything you couldn't, it wouldn't really be any better or worse. It was, roughly the same. So in the end, it's more or less a Scorching Ray build with some added benefits from Leech. I think if you're going to invest heavily into it, go for a level 21 Scorching Ray, go for a level 4 in power. You can grab a Skin of the Loyal, but I didn't because it's an extra 100 chaos, and it's not that much better than a Tabula. Since I'm not really using many defenses anyway, I would just double my evasion and armor to slightly more respectable standards. It would help the Granite Flask whenever I pop that, so bear in mind that would be pretty damn nice. A Skin of the Loyal would probably be my choice if I was going to go for this without full-on budget, but otherwise you can definitely play it with a Staff or a bow +3 to gem or to fire gems that way, and then go a combs. If you want to go for something like 7,500 life, because I will show you real quick, that's what a combs does for me in this current setup. So if we change nothing else and just end up putting on a staff or some shit and a combs, I now have 7,000 life. So it does make you a lot more tankier and way harder to one-shot, which does make your 100% leech way more effective. So that's up to you guys. I'll let you do that if you want. But like I said, I couldn't tell too much of a damage difference between those, and I don't really want to drop any more links. That would make things very uncomfortable. My current casting damage taken is Immortal Coil, increased duration, and that's it. You can get more creative with your casting damage takens as a Berserker, but that's all I have so far done. Lastly, I'll mention the average Firestorm damage, if you want to compare, is 8k here, and a level 21 puts it up to 8.7. So it's fun, but it's not that necessary. Most of our damage, I think, is coming from Scorching Ray itself. Besides that, Vile Lightning Trap, that's the shock mechanic we use for some boss fights, and it's pretty damn good to get into your build. That's about all I've got to mention about this character. I did have fun with it. I thought it was worth playing as a Scorching Ray character, especially on somewhat of a budget, compared to the last guy I made, which was a low-life Inquisitor. He had a 6-link Shavs and a level 4 in power, so that one was, 20 exalts more than this one. But this one did everything just fine. A few times you'd get in trouble, but I really didn't mind playing it. I thought it was a pretty cool character, and I did enjoy some Scorching Ray once again for that tasty brrr action. The only other thing, I think some Unwavering Stance would be really good, or wearing some Combs boots, and as well as that, I think a shield is better than dual wielding, because a shield you can gain, 100 life, 70 spell damage, so in the end you'd lose a little bit of cast speed, a little bit of crit, and a little bit of damage, but you'd gain like 100 life. That would boost me up to 6k life pretty easily, and on top of that you could then shield charge with Fortify, and that would be so much better. The only reason I didn't is because so many of my jewels already had dual wield damage. Every single one of them had increased spell damage with dual wielding, and I just wasn't willing to change 5 different jewels around to play with a shield at this stage, because I was going dual consumings and then I changed dual catalysts. So if I were to start this again, I'd probably try and go catalyst plus shield, but I think a better alternative could definitely be the staff and bow alternative, but you would definitely have to be doing more running than anything, because Leap Slam would feel pretty bad in that. That's the Scorching Ray character with some Firestorm additional into it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a good day.